Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of my favorite nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchy.
What's going on, peoples? Happy Saturday! And this nice January day. I thought it was kind of warm today.
Absolutely.
Out there.
Yes, rather nice.
Bad. They're chatting away, man, in the chat. There's a lot of chatter over there. It might be like 3 people, but they're talking a lot.
It's happening. The magic's happening.
So what's on the agenda for today, gentlemen? I know I'm going to be running a game tonight. Is the rumor I've heard?
That is the rumor. We are down 1 player.
The magic's happening.
Whoa!
The previously known Nerdarchist Ryan will not be joining us this evening.
That's true.
But after months of delay and cancel, we finally get to rejoin Dave's game.
I'm going to burst an aneurysm or have a heart attack or something just to mess with Ted.
Like, sorry, Ted, I gotta go to the hospital right now.
I'm dead. Falling out dead.
Because I get to keep playing, but it's all running.
See, that's plenty.
I want to play.
Well, welcome to the first half a decade of me and this gaming group. Vengeance is mine. I've been letting it simmer.
So this is,
for a couple of decades.
And it's not even hitting me. It's a shame.
That sucks.
Definitely the Klingon proverb. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
So you let me stew for just 3 months, huh? That's apparently all you can take.
That's it. We'll see, man. We'll see.
We have some rumors about your real name, Ted.
Ah,
yeah. We've got Will Wolf suggesting Tedward Themadius Adams. And Ken Adams says Teducate to that.
Well, my proper given name is Theodore. I hate to ruin the debate, but
he'd love to ruin it. He'd love to say the fact.
Yep. I'm actually the third Theodore in the line without actually being a third, and my son is actually the 4th Theodore in the line without having that annoying ending of junior, senior, third, 4th.
My son is the 3rd. I want the numbers to continue.
Yeah, I could go for Roman numerals.
I think it's funny. Ted was like, I don't want my dad's middle name. It's too nerdy, and his name's like Theodore.
No, I had no say in what my middle name was.
But you said you were glad.
What was it, like Aloysius or something?
Gilbert, right?
Gilbert.
Yeah.
So
Gil's all right. I like Gil.
He gave me a middle name, Robert. And it's like, okay, so he started the tradition of changing the middle name, and I carried that tradition on. That's the way I see it.
I said the only way my son could have my first name is if he took the middle as well.
All right. Yeah, there you go. Ben wants to know if we are part of an Illuminati agenda.
We are.
Absolutely.
We don't know what it is, but
it's that super secret. We don't know what we're doing in it.
We got to wait for the boss to tell us. Susie rears his ugly head.
Eli is saying, mine is ooh. I don't want to hear it. So I'm guessing his middle name is EWE.
Oh.
Ooh or you. I don't know how to pronounce that one.
I don't know.
I'll have to.
What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? The name you're given is the name you're given.
Yep.
It's like one of the Will Wolf fake news. Hashtag Tedgate. Oh man, you guys are the best. I just want to let you know. Hey, did you guys see that super sweet fan art someone drew of me? Or super creepy? I'm not sure which.
I haven't.
It
sounds like I'm missing something really good.
It's like Dave coming out of the shower with a towel on.
Really?
I'm wearing my glasses.
Well, of course. I mean, you got to be able to see what you're doing in the shower.
I don't know if I feel better or worse with the fact that they didn't draw all the body hair and tattoos that are on my my chest and my upper arms that are easily covered.
We should have enough videos of you in a tank top that they should have been able to extrapolate out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You did have the tank top thing for a while going.
Well, yeah, it's called the summertime. No, but then I was thinking, well, had they drawn all the tattoos, then it makes me wonder, is someone watching me?
When I'm in the shower, I'm afraid to wash my beard.
I'm glad to see that, we're getting, more Nerdarchy inspired fan art, but I'd like to see it go more towards characters than us.
I think it's funny. I don't care. I showed it to my wife, and she's like, "What is that?" And she's like, "I don't know how I feel about that."
And we're all emojis too over on the Discord channel, so you know.
Yeah. I try to if I remember, if I'm over there and I put something to sign off with my emoji.
But I apparently made Kyle's day. Kyle says, "Okay, thank you, Ted. You're the only Nerdarchy god I don't have an anagram for. Dave is Vlad and Nate is Hannett."
Okay.
They've been deifying us to some extent in the chat.
I like Vlad. That's pretty cool.
But I don't know where it comes from. So.
Oh, well, they switched the letters around to make a new name.
Oh, gotcha. I'm like, interesting. You guys get a little weird in the chat. I just want to say that in a good way.
Yeah. It's where you belong.
Oh man. So
Kianada's pointing out that we only need 6 more people to get 300 on our Nerdarchy Discord.
All right.
It's growing. It's going to catch the 9 of the nag soon.
Yeah. If you're not on the Discord, you could be one of those 6 that we need.
Yeah.
There's going to be links and stuff in the chat about that.
One has already appeared.
Yes.
In the chat.
There we go.
But in the description, it's there too.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
So also, guys, if you got questions, just put question in front so we can pick them out a lot easier. What do we win if we get 300? Do we win anything?
Just to say, yay. Then we can say, let's go for 500.
Woohoo.
And then we
We're
can
just
go
gonna skip 4 and go right to 5.
Yeah. You got to skip it eventually, because otherwise you're like...
I'm still figuring out how to use Discord. I get confused over there. There's like all these different channels, and then like I belong to a couple of different Discords. I'm like, I don't know. And it's something that beeps on my phone or on my computer while I'm trying to do something else generally.
Well, we can probably turn off notifications for other things if you're just interested in getting Nerdarchy dips. But then you can go on the Discord and see like what people say on other ones. There's enough happening on ours. It's tough to go to any other ones.
I'm gonna have to make it a point this week.
No, we don't want any fake accounts. What are we gonna do with those? So someone's like, we can make fake ones. I'm like, it doesn't really mean anything. It's less meaningful. Oh, you win anything but at Nerdarchy, the Patreon rolls should kick in the 1st of next month. Yeah, I don't know how any of that works. I know there's a way to connect Patreon to Discord. I don't know what it does when you connect it.
Everybody has on the page. Everyone who's a patron has Nerdarchists as their thing when they sign up over a Discord.
Okay.
If they go in through the special link, that's going to be in Patreon email.
Okay.
But you can't really. That's not coming up until like the rewards kick out. I think is when it's going to happen. So. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out some kind of Patreon message. Like we can just put it in and put a special link, and just tell us, and we'll just switch you over to it. So that's what we'll have to figure out.
Dave, you can mute those beeps in the options. Yeah, I have to find them. I kept beeping during Critical Role last night while I was watching. I'm like, I could probably fix that, but it seems it's all the way over there.
You might want to turn off everything except direct messages because there's a lot of talk that goes on over there. I'll be gone for like 10 minutes and there'll be like 50 new messages. So
Aaron wants to know, can you give me some fun ways a demon could screw over the PCs when answering wishes? What's a demon answering wishes for?
Well, I think some of them probably have grant wish. At least one.
Or maybe they can grant particular types of wishes, like what's within their domain.
Yeah, and well, especially with devils, but the idea of the crossroads devil or demon is definitely a thing, and they make bargains. So, I mean, that would be in essence a wish, I would think.
Yeah, I would think a way to screw around with them would be they pay for it in some way that wasn't necessarily wasn't said, but in the fine print kind of concept.
Yeah, the easy one that you can do is when they want something, it belonged to somebody else. It's literally taken from them. Oh, you want a magic item? You want money? All right, well, that had to come from somewhere. It's not instantly created just for them.
And then the demon goes to that person and says, hey, I know who took your thing. I can tell you where they are for a price.
Of course.
Yeah, and it really just depends what they're asking, to be honest with you. Like, without that information, it's really hard to answer the question. Mainly, it just always comes down to twisting the wording of what they wish for. So Patrick, do you customize the relics for your campaigns or players? And do you draw them also? I try not to draw anything because it'd be like stick figures at best.
I think he means like, do you draw them from the book, like roll randomly, or?
Oh, I thought it meant do you actually draw the picture of the thing? And be like,
okay,
you made the thing for the player. Here it is.
Yeah,
I would be more inclined to scour the interwebs for a picture of the thing that someone else drew much better than I ever could, and be like, here it is. And if it's in your home game, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm a horrible artist when it comes to drawing things. So
I don't know about relics, but pretty much like most of my players have unique items to that, that they got either in the campaign or they started with because they came in at a higher level. Like,
it's fun to create something new as opposed to giving something that's already been created.
Jean's character Kath has Pigpen that she fights with. Megan's character Kenna has Last Whisper that she fights with. And Agnetha, Sam's character, has a weapon that does not have a name, but that like got enchanted during a fight. Then I ripped off Matt Mercer's cool daggers that he gave to one of the characters, and I kind of like made my own like magic item set off of that Jen's character uses, Deneen. So it's like a brooch connected to two daggers. As a reaction, she can call it back to her hand. Call them back to her hands, or she can teleport to one of them as a bonus action.
Nice.
So that was definitely something that it's probably in the Tal'Dorei book as well. That dagger. But I was like, that's a really cool idea. So I kind of like embellished on that a little bit. DM Steve, is Animate Dead in 5e considered an evil act? Yes, it is. All right, next question. The past versions of the
game,
it
doesn't imprison anybody's soul, and it doesn't do a few other things.
So trapped soul bound to the body. There is no other way to do Animate Dead. It's your game. You can decide however it works.
If you read the spell and you don't get any evil thoughts from it, then perhaps it's not evil.
Dave is all about necromancers are evil. End of story.
Yeah, I'm pretty adamant about that. This is. You can't play with dead things and be good. That's all. I'm just saying.
So Jeff wants to know, after the release of Xanathar's Guide, how front-loaded is the Hexblade Warlock, and is splashing into it as a multi-class too strong?
There's a bunch of things like that. Like War, I feel like the War Wizard taking 2 levels of that is amazing. Like we talked about it. We're like, oh, this is great for Eldritch Knight. And then I thought about it later. I'm like, it's also great for Arcane Trickster. Adding your intelligence modifier to initiative is pretty sweet. And that second level ability, as I'm going to use a reaction, not cast spells next round, could still use cantrips if I wanted to, but get a +2 to a save or to your, +4 to a save or +2 to armor class. Basically shield whenever you want it. So I think that's pretty nice.
There's a handful of classes. There's even stuff in the player's handbook that dipping into can be pretty ridiculous.
Assassin.
You
only need 3 levels.
First level cleric, whether you go knowledge for any of your skill heavy people, or if you're going warrior, going first level and going towards war, being able to channel divinity for plus to hit, not bad for any martial character that you want to take a level cleric with.
Spencer, have you ever had a problem with characters jumping to their death? I've had one jump off a cliff, one jump into a snake pit, another jump into a spider nest. All of them died. What are you doing to them to make these options more appealing?
I just can't live in this world anymore. Did any of them think they could live?
Was this a situation?
And it was just probably a player error in thinking that they could actually survive whatever they were doing.
And was it the same player over and over again?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it seems like something like a specific person might do.
Like, oh, this character, this player wants to make new characters frequently. So, I'm just going to jump to my death and make a new guy. Oh, look at that, I died. Oh, so sad. Roll the new guy. I mean, we had the character in your open legend game who first session he jumps off the airship.
Oh yeah, it was probably
Ty.
No, yeah, it did seem like he was maybe going to die. I was like, wow, that went fast. You could have just told me you didn't want to play.
There was two characters in that session that I thought we're gonna die.
Yeah, they both. One is like, let me jump off the airship, and the other was, let me go mind-to-mind contact with a eldritch horror being.
It's only like a Cthulhu-like thing.
Yeah,
It can't be that bad. I'm like, oh my god.
I was traumatized. I'm like, no one wants to play with me. They would just tell me. So, Gab Masters, one of my fellow players is a half-orc elf. We did a solid job making the race, but what would you have done to make it? So I just feel like traditionally in fantasy, like some races just couldn't interbreed, and it just seems like orc and elf would be one of them.
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, if you were going to do it,
so I would take that character.
So this is how we make an Urk.
An Orlf.
I'm making an Urk. You make whatever you want.
So
this idea irks me, so it's an Urk.
So what I would do is you play a half elf or you play a half orc. You describe it visually that it combines both races.
And then immediately after that, dwarves show up and exterminate it. They're like, this cannot be allowed to live.
They're like, this is so great. I get to kill orcs and elves, and no one's going to yell about it.
And you then explain, okay, well, this is what he looks like because this is what his parentage is. You don't have to make up any new stats because it is a half elf, it is a half orc, so either stat mix should work.
And he's got the, grace of the elves and the rugged good looks of a half orc.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's got that high charisma bump.
In our games, we just generally do not feel a huge need to mechanically explain everything. We're usually very fine with just reskinning it. I did play a dwarven. I played a dwarf, a dwarven half orc, and I just explained. I just described him differently.
So he was a little bit shorter. He had the long beard,
and he had the the underbite.
Yeah,
the tusks. And had the gray skin.
That's a pretty cool character visual.
Yeah, that's what I did. The red hair, the bright red hair. Probably red eyes. It's good stuff. And I don't feel like I don't need stats and mechanics to justify the choice I made for that character. He could have easily been a half orc, or he could have easily been a dwarf. And I'm fine with either.
Right. You took a character, years ago that you explained like he was like a quarter orc.
Quarter orc, yeah. 1/16 of an orc.
So I was like, well, he's got a low charisma. He's a human. I mean, you use the human stats for 3/5.
Yeah, just had dusty kind of skin and yellow eyes. Just like some small traits that made it different.
It was core, right?
It was core, yes. That was a fun campaign for a while. He eventually lost his orcness though.
He did,
because he died and got reanimated reincarnated as a centaur,
which was a phenomenal choice for that character.
Oh yeah, well, because he was already a mobile fighter that fought with a reach weapon, and adding like 40 foot to his base movement and strength, the ability to charge and things like that did not help.
The bonus to strength, everything that came with being a centaur. So, question: I want a scaling weapon for a PC. What character level should it go to? +2, +3, or gain special abilities?
I think if you took examples of like what's a legendary weapon, when do people usually have one, when it's a very rare weapon, when do people usually have one, and I think like what's a flame tongue, I think is a very rare weapon, and it does particular things. It's +2, does extra damage, so that kind of give you an idea of, maybe a rare weapon is a +2 with nothing, or a thing with special abilities like extra damage or illumination.
If you want to start with the weapon, like it could have just a common ability, something that doesn't affect combat in any way, shape, or form, like the Cloak of Billowing kind of effect.
Slap some quirks on it as well. That's not going to be like super awesome or +1.
Proficiency starts at 2 and goes to 6. You got 3, 4, 5, 6 as your bump. So that's 4 things. So it can become a +1 special ability, +2 special ability. So you can change, final at +6 could be a special ability and move to a +3 if you really want.
So you're saying as the proficiency modifier adjusts, that's when you could have like a milestone of what happens?
Yeah.
That's good, simple. I like that.
Works for me. I like, using the tiers, tie it to that. You can tie it to the proficiency modifiers when they get the bump as basically your tiers. Makes it easy, and like Nate said, just look and see when you're supposed to. And Zeth's guide kind of like spells that stuff out for you a little bit more, so you can use that as well. So there's a question. There's a very specific question, and we haven't touched on that one in a while, from Brandon. Hey guys, I think I have the answer, but would the Ancestral Protector Barbarian give resistance to allies against Dragon Breath if it's your target? I don't remember what that ability does, and off the top of my head, and my Xanathar's guide is so far away.
Mine's right behind you, though.
Yeah. So I don't know. Should we give the Jeremy Crawford answer? It does what it says it does. I love that one. I love when you just know he's been asked like the same question too many times in a row, and that was like the breaking point.
So just to let you guys know, we will be listing off what the Patreon rewards are that will be dispersed in February, sometime later. So if you guys do want to sign up for our Patreon and get those cool rewards, you have till the end of the month to get them. So stay tuned for that. If for some reason we run out of your questions, I do have a stack of GM 901s here that we can dive into as well. So yeah, you have fun with that.
So I kind of feel like you might be looking at the wrong version, right? Because it doesn't give it reduces the damage by a certain amount for Spirit Shield. It's not resistance anymore. Used to be. I think it goes up, but it's 2d6, so that's just damage, and it would reduce it by that. It would not be a resistance per se.
Yeah, maybe that was from the
Unearthed Arcana.
So it's like, I don't think we answered this question yet from Kale Hardesty. I always seem to have a problem with inflation in the games that I run, where the players are way too rich. I have been told to give them items instead, but then they end up being overpowered. Thoughts?
We did a whole video series on what to do with your loot or what to do with your gold.
Yeah, so you could spend it. And the other thing is just stop giving them gold. Pay them in copper. Pay them in silver. Less gold.
There's as the DM, it is up to you what loot you give out. You don't always have to give out treasure every single session, every single encounter. Maybe every third or fourth session, do they really encounter something that has enough oomph to really warrant treasure?
And you can also use encumbrance, because if they can't, let's say they get a whole bunch of stuff, but it's like, I don't know, 10,000 copper coins, 3,000 gold and something else, and then it's like a couple pieces of treasure and some armor, and you're like, we can't actually carry all this. We're just going to have to leave some of it behind. Maybe we'll come back later. Maybe we'll tell some people, be like, hey, there's a place you can find stuff. It wasn't dangerous at the time.
Coming back later, it's always gone.
Yes, because somebody is like, oh, that terrible troll that ate my uncle is gone. I'm going to go see what's in this place. And then there's also, you could do things like maybe there's a kingdom nearby that has been at war, and they are looking for people, with the money to burn for prestige. You can gain prestige by saying, helping somebody's war debt out, or some kind of situation where you're gaining something that's not monetary and it's not a magic item, but it's something cool. So like maybe the local kingdom will look favorably upon you. Maybe the king will do you a favor.
Build a bathhouse.
You can build a bathhouse. You can buy
getting title, getting renown. You become memorable. Oh well, the local bard has heard about your tales and has begun singing a song about your endeavors in the local tavern.
Maybe you've drawn a little too much heat due to your personal activities as adventurers to the local city, and they're being attacked by stuff. Maybe you're like, oh well, I can build a wall for you guys, or I can pay to have a wall built. And then when that, orc horde comes by, you're the saviors of the town and stuff.
Or you could totally destroy the local economy, and then everyone hates the players. Because that's essentially what you're doing. What kind of happens, right? When you have too much money in an in an economy.
Yeah, or you can just get everything done for you. Be like, I don't feel like getting this food. I want it delivered to me.
Hey, I'm actually creating jobs where in your game. But we'll get to that later tonight.
You like create the reverse of Amazon Online, where you're the person everybody sends stuff to because you just don't want to go anywhere and you got the money to burn. Be like, go fetch this for me, merchant.
So going back to our conversation about animating dead,
Challenger
says, so animating a table or chest is also evil?
You're not binding their spirits to it. And
what if they have souls?
Listen, that is my whole point, right? Why are you not using animate object if the body is no longer a person and just a thing?
Animate object is like 6th level spells, isn't it?
Hey, whatever, but still, why is it animate dead and not animate object? Right. I think you just proved I'm right and you're wrong. But you may play the game any wrong way you like. So angry GM. Nah, actually, I don't care how you do in your game. But to me, that's just my thing. It's like once you start playing with dead things, it's weird, and good people don't play with dead things. And definitely do not, have them walk around, follow them around, and possibly maybe date them.
All right.
She was a childhood friend, all right? My necromancer has done nothing illicit with that skeleton.
Was that your character you played in the
Think Geek game?
Yeah.
Hey, just because I used my magic item choice on a magic disguise for my skeleton guest.
Oh, Jason Spurlock, what do you do? Guys, put question before your questions. It makes it easier for us. What do you do when you plan out this huge battle, but the players decide to befriend everyone and not fight anyone else while they hide and others fight? Well, is there a reason for the others to fight? Are they as powerful as they are? You could not give them XP if you wanted to. I mean, that would be one thing. The other people that do the fighting might claim the rewards is another thing.
The people on whatever side, well, like if it was a town versus an invading army, well, that town gets destroyed or something bad happens, and they're kind of stuck with the consequences of ditching the fight.
Well, no, they're saying that the fight gets won by people they've persuaded to fight instead of them.
Oh, well,
and I would think it would be boring anyway, because I would just be like, all right, well, the fight happened, and you decide which side, whatever you, as the GM, you can decide which side you thought would have won, or the side you wanted to win could win, or you could have all their friends get obliterated, and then they have to fight anyway. It might be an easier fight now, and maybe they have to deal with that. So I don't really think it's a problem. It just might take things into a different direction.
The problem is it's not happening the way you think. Basically, you might think it should happen, and
welcome to DMing.
Yeah, that's like I planned this great thing, and the players decided to befriend everybody, and now they're friends, and then they're and get these people to fight instead. Well, yeah, that just means that the players made it so that what you thought was going to happen is not going to happen. So
the number of times that my players have done something that I was not expecting. Every session, maybe like it's so frequent. You just have to learn to deal with it and accept it and move on.
Yeah. So Seymour has a question, and his question is: Nerdarchy, can you do a player 911? Yes, we can. Question answered. Next. You ask whatever you guys want. You can ask about the game and personal lives. Just put a question in front of it. We may or may not answer it depending on what the question is.
All right, so here on the undead question. If a lich was made by people sacrificing themselves in a ritual to give another power to beat a big bad, would the lich still be evil?
I think there's a corruptibility in 5th edition, at least. There's a corruptibility that happens to people who are true undead. And things like vampires and liches, you just have this kind of like alteration of what you are over time.
Now, if the lich beats the big bad, he then has the moral quandary of, well, do I continue sacrificing people to remain a lich, or do I pass away to a demi-lich?
Because after that, it's only like one soul, right?
Yeah, every so often.
So that's going to make the determination. If he keeps sacrificing,
what's the end result?
He's going to get corrupted by that power, and he then gets twisted and is evil. Or he falls into a demi-lich and doesn't really have a sense of self anymore.
and someone might come along and see like whispers of what he was in this demi-lich, and the lich might attack or the lich might not care.
Same with a vampire. If he doesn't keep drinking blood, he winds up withering away and not being a vampire anymore.
So Steve Wooderman has a question. Guys, would you let's see. Would giving the Dragonborn more uses of the breath weapon as they go up in level be too strong? Actually, no, because it's still weak. Like, it's a weak attack. You're using your action to do a breath weapon, so it's a piss poor choice, right? If I'm a fighter and I can make 4 attacks or 1 breath weapon as a Dragonborn, you should probably swing your axe or your sword. If you're a wizard or a sorcerer, you should probably cast your spell. If you're a bard, you should just bard harder. But that's why we made the breath weapon a bonus action in our game, so they can do it in addition to something else cool.
It's really awesome, the first 2 levels. Because I'm playing a Dragonborn right now, and mine's a Pandelver, and the 2 times I've used it, I've totally stomped the things we were fighting with it, or like severely damaged a whole bunch of people. But I can imagine that doing pretty much nothing. Like when you're 18th level, who cares if you have 5 of them? They're just kind of...
Yeah, at the point it was a 5d8 or whatever. It's like, And what is your class? What is your...
barbarian and sorcerer? I'm doing that.
Yeah. So punching things is going to be way better than breathing on them.
Yeah.
Even now, it's probably like close. The only difference is you can get a couple things at once, maybe.
Yeah, you get like I get a line attack. So I got 4 guys in one shot once, but it was like perfect hallway shot. But that's not going to come up all the time. You're going to get 1 or 2 people most of the time. So you're looking at like again, like Dave said, a not optimal choice for what to do with your action when you're 18th level.
Are you looking at? You're laughing. You're looking at Mike Gold.
No, I'm laughing at all the comments about Bard harder.
Oh. Well, Mike Gold, Nerdarchy. If a player constantly has a character commit suicide, wouldn't it be great to have a necromancer constantly animate them so that the player plays as a zombie for the session? Yes, it would be hilarious. See, evil can be funny.
And good is dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, so DM Steve, the spell does say foul magic. Okay. But swamps are foul, but they're not evil.
Oh, swamps are evil.
Most foul and evil.
Evil, most foul, and they stink.
So, David Lowry, based on your experience, when did you introduce your kids to RP games? If you did it all, should drop the hobby for a couple of years for the dads?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what your circumstances are as to whether you need to drop the hobby or not. That's entirely up to you. I don't know. My son rolled his first die at like 2 or 3 days old, so
he didn't start playing until about 14. I think.
I had to introduce it to him a couple times before it stuck. And it just depends on your kids. Ted's kids are much younger and they're playing. I have another nephew that's younger and is starting to play.
Billy's 11, I think, and he really likes it. My son is 9, and after the first session, he's obsessed with it. Like it's typically a daily conversation in my house. Somehow it twists to D&D. My daughter started playing No Thank You Evil a few months before she turned 5. The No Thank You Evil requires like dice rolling and chits to turn in. So like she was interested in that aspect of it because we've been playing board games as a family. But I mean, she was definitely into it and having fun. And they needed help from my wife, who was there to help guide through any kind of puzzles and group decisions. But they've been having fun.
And I'm going for the like kind of obscured hook. They see the books, they like the monsters in it. They think, oh, this is cool and stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, can we do this sometime? They're like, oh yeah, sure we can. Sometime. I'll set aside some time for us. So they're definitely interested in playing, and they're 9 and 8, my 2 eldest. So they're super interested in playing, but they know that it's going to be like a special time set aside for that.
Ooh, here's a question. I haven't read the whole thing, but I like the direction it's going in already. Zexon the One. I'm a new DM and play with new players. I think I play with new players is what it should be. But one player feels like I'm screwing him over when I do not tell him things that he did not ask about. This happens mostly when I'm an NPC. So that can be like a tricky area. One, are you really screwing them over? No, it can be tricky because you have to remember, like the world that the players get and their senses all come through you. And if you're like that kind of GM that's like, well, you didn't ask this question, so you don't know.
The gotcha DM.
Yeah, or you didn't say this right thing, so you don't know. That is kind of screwing your players over, because here's the problem, or the thing anyway. The character knows more than the player. The character is there in the world, experience it. The player is not. You know, we get everything filtered through a GM. So you have to decide if they ask a question, or if something happens and they're like, and it becomes new information to them, is it reasonable that they would have known that and could have interacted with that information? Then yes, you're screwing them over. But if it's information they wouldn't have had, like something that the NPC knows and they don't know, then no. So, you know, it's very open to interpretation. And, you know, I would encourage your players to ask questions if they're not sure. And as a GM, you should feel, you know, you should answer those questions and give them as much information as possible. Sometimes I try and give players extra information, like they say they want to do something, and I go, well, you know what, based on what I think this character knows and the world around them, I'll give them extra information so that they can be better informed when they do decide to do something.
That sums it up pretty succinctly.
So maybe.
Yeah, ask the question, would these characters reasonably have known this? Or would they have seen it? So if you didn't describe something in the room and they didn't ask, well, thinking back, did they actually see it, or were they distracted by something?
So Dave, have you ever done a live stream with AJ Pickett?
I have. Why?
It's a question from DM Steve.
That was the extent of the question.
Yeah, it says
several.
So have you ever done a sat down with AJ Pickett for a stream?
We've done. He's played through Maze of Mandoon with some of my characters or some of the players. I've played in one of his hero games. I don't know if there were any other ones. I broke his hero game because he's like, hey, feel free to take some of these weapons, whatever you want. I'm like, great, I'm taking the rocket launcher. And like he's like, you know, in the comments to that video, and he's like, here's where you can see where Dave breaks my game, because it does like 9d10 or something times 100 for damage. It's like ridiculous. And I like used it to nuke one of his, like a ship or something.
Oh, a ship. Jeez.
Yeah, they can blow holes in that. Yeah.
But has he ever come on for a live chat? I think is kind of what they're.
Oh, for the live chat? No, he is not.
Because of that rocket launcher incident.
Because what?
Because of the rocket launcher incident.
Yeah, because of the rocket launcher. Yeah, he's also on the other side of the world as well. So
Kianata says, you know, lol, just Nate Hug has a lawful good shirt on. Oh,
hey, it says lawful good doesn't mean lawful nice, which is true.
See, Will Wolf has a question. This relates to the topic I've asked before, if you recall, maybe. Briefly, what might you expect to see for combat challenge if you were in a campaign of mice, bird characters, all tiny? Oh, you know what? I feel like we've answered this and did something like this because Alex Agunas did like Tiny Adventures or something, and we even talked about that. I mean, it's for Pathfinder, but you could probably find it on maybe Drive Through RPG or the.
So if you're giving us choices of like tiny rodents or tiny birds, I go squirrel. Yeah,
I don't know if it's that or if like you're the player and you get shrunk down, you have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Well, and that's that becomes.
But that being said, like you could play Mouse Guard, where you literally are that, or Pugmire. Like you've got options. Also, what was it? Roleplay Roulette. They'll do reviews on different games and even play like parts of sessions. And they did one where it was like this fairy pirate game. So like, there's options. Some weirder than others.
Honey, I Shrunk the Adventurers would be a pretty amusing amusing take.
Ask Mike Gould. He'll probably remember the video we did on that. He remembers way better than we do.
We got another one asking about favorite class.
We don't like classes. We don't like them at all.
First class. First class. I want room to stretch out my legs.
There you go. I don't. I really don't have a favorite class. I like to play all the classes.
His favorite class is dwarf.
Yeah. Well, there was an edition where that was very much possible.
Well, I thought elf was a class. Dwarf was still a race, though. I thought.
No, in the basic set, elf was a race, dwarf was a race, halfling. I mean, dwarf, elf, and halfling, they were races and classes.
So you could be a dwarf.
No, you would just be a dwarf. There was no second choice.
Oh, okay.
In basic, it was just like you picked one of them: a wizard, a fighter, a thief, halfling, elf. I think there was gnome. I'm not sure. That might have been one of the expansions. I don't know. It's going back a long way, but that's the basic series.
So do we want to talk about Patreon?
Sure. Okay. It's almost time to be done, so we better get it in there. Okay. So for Patreon rewards, we have a Mage Forge, we have a Monster Menagerie, a Friend or Foe, a Terrible Terrain, and Lost Lore. And there's different tiers for that. I think it's $2 through $10. And if you're still interested in these rewards, make sure you get in before the end of the month, because on the first of the month, that's when it kind of like locks into place the what rewards you're going to get for the following month. So our Mage Forge is a Bone Harp. The Monster Menagerie is the Enraptured. Friend or Foe is the Corpse Minstrel. Terrible Terrain is Enchantress's Castle, and Lost Lore is Curses.
So we kind of got a little bit of a necro theme kind of going on there.
A little bit of necromancy, a little bit of lost love problems. It's February. Why not?
So we just kind of did this the other day where we put up a video maybe yesterday because Game Master wants to know, do Warlock Pseudo Dragon familiars get to share their magic resistance with you? Now, I thought they did, but someone had said in the comments that it's a variant, so no, which means that would make the Pact of Chains Warlock even more worthless than it already was. It's like if you literally all you get is a stupid familiar that is going to hang out with you, mechanically it is so inferior to the other two Warlock pack boons. It's like, why would you ever bother?
And that's a problem since Warlock's kind of like low on the
power scale
of all the classes as well. So it's like the bum of the kind of bummy class.
Yeah, so I have to go back and reread it, but in our games they do. In your game, do what you want, And if I'm not actually sure what they do in Adventure League for the Warlock that takes a special familiar. Now I want to know.
So this one here is not enough for us to really do a video on, so I wanted to get this one done today. Ty says that he's a player. He's a Warforged Druid. And he wants to cast Heat Metal on himself, and then Wild Shape, and then Wild Shape into an octopus and grapple the enemies. The DM hasn't come up with an answer about whether this would work or not. What do you guys think?
I think Heat Metal works on objects and armor. I don't think it works on people.
But he's a Warforged.
But he's a construct technically.
And with the humanoid, he's a sub, and he would have the humanoid subtype as well.
So, to me, I would look at it as, okay, you are a creature. Once you wild shape, you become the other thing. So unless you are re-envisioning the wild shape to then your
Transformer
construct octopus, you're no longer metal, therefore you're not hot to the touch.
And even if you were, you would take the damage.
Yeah, there would be that problem. Yes.
So
you're technically going to be melting yourself if you get too much damage.
I would. So I don't know. I might allow it. This was actually Mike Merle answered this the other day, and he was like, "I don't see why not." Does Heat Metal work on a Warforged? It was kind of his answer, but sometimes these guys just shoot from the hip with their answers as well, because they wrote all the rules, but they might have wrote different versions of the rules, and before they finally got to the final draft, So, and also, even as the creators, they might do something different in their game if they think it's cooler anyway.
Yeah, and are you completely metal, or are you like wood, metal, composite? You know, what are you actually all made out of as a Warforge?
So if you're metal and
because they're not in
wood-
official rules yet, right? I don't remember.
No,
they're not in Xanathar's.
No, we don't have official.
Keep thinking they are, and I'm like, nope, they're not. No.
Mike Gould, casting damage against spell on yourself, way okay. And I'm okay with it too. You'd also have to pass the concentration check every round as well.
There's that. Yeah, you're right. And that's, you know, and then on top of whatever something hits you, and then you're gonna have to make the concentration check again.
Yeah, so it's another roll.
And Doug, octopus does not have a lot of hit points.
Doug says when you wild shape, you wouldn't be metal anymore, which is true also. I actually played a Warforged Druid, but the DM let me keep my form. Because plus you technically get to keep your inherent abilities, and the Warforged get a +1 to armor class. So how else would you explain that? Unless but the downside is like you're not going to mistake that character for a natural animal. There's something going on with that.
So there you go. I wanted to get that one, you know, out of the way because that was very, very simple. Do it how you want, but there's our ruling.
And then also it's like, you know, I was looking to see if I had a book near me to see, and I don't have D&D Beyond open to see like if it says affects an object. If it says specifically calls out you can target an object, then a Warforged is not an object anyway. So
we can target armor, you can target a sword, right?
Yeah.
So
but they're not armor or a sword.
This is true.
So yeah, so it would really depend on the wording, but you know, I'm all about like hurt yourself if you want. If it makes more hit points are a resource, I've heard.
And that sounds really cool to be like a glowing red hot transformer octopus grappling people. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you'd have to deal with to have that happen, including DM agreements.
So nobody 175. How do you deal with metagaming players? And how do you stop yourself from metagaming after all these years with the DM's materials? Honestly, it's just you just make it like I feel people that want to win DM or win D&D, they're going to metagame. Like if that's your goal is to win, then yes, you're going to struggle with metagaming. If you don't care about winning and you just want to have fun, not doing anti-metagaming is a blast. Like Jogo was the antithesis of that. Like, oh, this dangerous, deadly monster that I can't possibly fight by myself. You know, say stupid things and throw yourself right in their crosshairs. Oh yeah, absolutely. Is it going to ruin the plan's party and wreck everything because Jogo's a little dim? Yep, gonna do that knowingly. And the party, they learned like, oh, we're not telling Jogo this, or we're not going to do that in front of him because they know how he's going to respond. It's just about what's going to be more fun. And
Key and I just shared the link about, you know,
the video we did on that the other day. Yeah. So, but for the most part, you know, as for not doing it, it's so much more fun to use your metagaming
to go the other way, and you know, and just add quirky, fun things to the game. And what's the worst things that happen? Your characters will die. You get to make a new one. Bam. I mean, I tried to get us all murdered last 2 sessions, really intense game. Like he's like, you can have player agency. I'm like, okay, here's a really powerful monster we should fight. And Ted's like, okay, here it is. And then let me beef it up a little bit. Well, I knew you'd already fought one, so I'm like, well, I need to make this one stronger because it's by itself. I was tired and not feeling well that session, so I wasn't thinking about, oh well, yes, it shows up and it brought friends.
That you might just kill characters we've been playing for 3 years.
Well, the only, you know, Dave and I had a conversation about this. The only way it would be an issue is we took you out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can bring people back.
Oh, that's true.
So it just is like, oh,
I have that power.
Got to drain the resources to, you know.
This guy was ready to keep going with the Kraken. It did remind me that I really do need to make sure I have the fly spell memorized while on a sea voyage.
Yeah, fly, important thing.
Yeah, I contemplated trying to drown you.
You should have. You know what though? With the drowning rules, it takes for friggin' ever to drown somebody.
Yeah,
it sounds more scary than it actually is. Yeah. You're like, yeah, in like 20 rounds of combat, your character will probably drown.
Except, you know, I forget exactly which question it asked. There was things that like one of the sage advices says, like, well, if you do, you can do something to just instantly take them to the death saves.
Not with drowning. You have to. They have to be drowning first. So like, and then like getting to that point is hard. But once you get to the drowning part, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, you've got like minutes, right?
Yeah, it's like based off your constitution, and then you have con saves in order to then become drowning. Like suffocation and drowning are horrific if you get there. And there are certain things in the game that will put you there, but dousing someone in water isn't really one of them. At least my understanding, anyway. I would have to look at the specific.
So Truemate says Kraken problem. Where's the second one?
The second Kraken.
Well, I only have one
mini.
I only have one up there. I do have a second Kraken figure that's not quite the same size that I could pull out if I really needed to have to. There was a Mega Blocks Pirates of the Caribbean set that I've actually got essentially a Lego Kraken. That's pretty decent size that I could use if I really needed to. He's over there.
Kyle Ellis, could a Triton use a swordfish as a sword, or would you rule it as an improvised weapon? It has a sheath. It's a permanent weapon. It has a sheath in it. It's a permanent weapon. And it's a weapon. It's an NPC. It doesn't matter. Will it work the same for the players? If you're the GM, you decide. Just do what's fun.
Is it a whole swordfish or like this the swordfish blade, like the nose or whatever, or tooth or whatever the heck it is.
Mike Gould, he must be like quoting something from someone else. Do you think my goblin bard would have slept with a were-rat gnome if he knew she was a were-rat? Answer: who cares? Be the character, not the player. And really, like, how sleazy is your goblin? Maybe
that's
was he really drunk?
Maybe that's higher for him.
Yeah, I'm moving up in the world. Chicka bow wow wow.
So Comrade 2261 says my flying Tarasque would destroy a Kraken.
I don't know. Krakens are pretty tough. Be a good battle to see. So someone said, Friganator, I don't know if he looked up the rule or whatever, or make a save to take a breath before going under. If fail, start drowning immediately. Yeah, that could be problematic. But I don't think it would be like a hard save anyway, because that's not really based on how powerful the monster is you're fighting or anything like that. It's more of a environmental thing. So higher level characters that are proficient in constitution saves
with a decent con
are going to have that might even be like a DC 10 real quick or whatever. But you never know. You can always roll a 1. Which I have to check. My player told me the other day a 1 is not an instant fail in saving throws anymore. I do not know if that's true or not. Now I have to remember to look it up. I probably won't.
The 1 is a miss on attack rolls, and I thought it was saving throws as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But skills
is not.
It's not. Doug, suffocating creature can hold its breath for a number of minutes equal to 1 plus its constitution modifier, minimum of 30 seconds. Yeah, that's the problem.
So what is your constitution? Is it a 3 or a +3 or +4?
It's one of those.
So like
30 rounds. At that point, you can walk the shore.
No, I wouldn't quite go that far.
No, yeah, probably not. But misty step. I could probably misty step to the boat. Eventually, it might take a couple rounds, mind you, but rapid misty stepping.
I don't know who's going to bring you pretty far down if I did it. I was like, well.
Must go inside the Kraken
because you can go.
Get back in it. Take a breath.
You can go to the other plane. I had options. I'm just saying, I had options. I was ready to go toe to toe with that Kraken.
I wasn't ready to back you up.
I know. Elves, what are you gonna do? Son of a.
Hey, I have respect for nature.
Michael, Kraken can only fight the Tarasque if there's badly dubbed villagers about. Yeah, I can get behind that.
The Sand Kraken and the Snow Kraken are fun variations.
Yeah, I would agree. That would be definitely a fun thing to. Well, and the truth of the matter is, like, they don't even have to be, because the Kraken can get out of the water and take a hike if it wants to.
If it wants to,
it's not really bound there.
It's naturally a water creature, but
what's the Tarasque con modifier? Is it like does it have a 30?
Oh, like how long it takes to dry on it? It's pretty fierce.
Yeah. I was just kind of wondering. I was like, how long would it take? How long could it? Because the Kraken can go in and out of the water. I was thinking, like, the Tarasque can't. But I'm like, well, what does con modifier? If it's got a 10, that's a while.
It is.
Michael says Space Kraken and Spelljammer. Imagine that. Don't give Doug any ideas.
You don't have to imagine it, because I had Skro using a Space Kraken as their ship, and then it ejected smaller Space Krakens they're like Kraken spawns from the Tome of Beast, and they were the tentacle arms were catapulting
flail snails
onto the ship. And then once it got towards the closer to the end of the fight, then the Kraken awakens and they have to fight the Kraken.
So the Tarasque is a 30 Constitution and a 30 Strength.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to hang in there for a while. So
the Kraken is a challenge 23. The Tarasque is a challenge 30. So it's definitely leans towards the Tarasque winning. Except
for, if you look at CR, but the Tarasque's it's got to use improvised things, and it's not smart. So I feel like the Kraken has more options. It's got spells. It's intelligent. Oh yeah, it can use the water to its advantage.
So it depends upon where the fight is happening, and how much time does the Kraken have?
Come on, it's a Kraken. It's not Batman. It doesn't need that much time.
So, feelings on it no longer being a squid by Will Wolf. I'm cool with it being some kind of terrible abomination monster, because then you can do giant squids, and they're totally different. They're not the legendary Krakens.
I can go either direction. The picture on the monster manual doesn't look anything like the mini that I used, but I mean, is what it is.
Sewer Kraken. Now that's just evil.
Aboleths in the sewer, Krakens in the sea.
Absolutely. Oh, I got to disappear from the camera a second, guys.
Yeah. So as Ted goes and parents so hard, we'll try and continue on without him. So how many people we got hanging out with us? That's a good question. Tell me, phone. Ooh, almost 100. Jeez, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
That's really cool. Unicorn Hoodlum, GM911. I want to do a campaign in hell. I plan on killing my level 1 party with some kind of super demon Tarasque with a portal to hell in his stomach. And your thoughts? Yeah, skip the part where they get to say skip the part where you go through the battle of killing them, and just start with the part where you wanted to start with, and then tell them how they got there. And if you want to let them narrate their death scene. Otherwise, you've created a challenge for them to have to try and overcome, and there's always some weird off chance that they will somehow do that. So, or it just prolongs things, and it also makes it just seem like you're being a jerk. So it's just better to start at the point where you're like, I'm going to do this thing to make them do this thing. Skip the make them, and just start there.
Yeah, so if they get eaten and are in hell now, just start in hell and narrate all the way, because it's going to be problems if let's say you have 5 people show up and everybody knows except one guy. He's not really super clear on what the game's about. And he shows up and he's like, oh, we just got eaten by this terrible monster that seemed really unfair, and now we're stuck in hell. I don't want to play a game in hell. So make sure that people know, hey, by the way, this is where we're playing.
Or you have while the encounter is set up, so somebody's like, oh, well, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to run, or I'm going to try this thing, which, oh man, I didn't think about that. Now how do you get the twist? There's a number of different scenarios that can come up depending upon what the end game is. It's you guys are 100% correct. Just start where you want things to start from. Makes it so much easier.
So now, Mr. L Unicorn, what if that's the way out of hell instead of the way in? I would lead up to like that. That's not as bad. And it would be kind of funny. I like in my mind, I'm envisioning this Tarasque that's full and doesn't want to eat, and you're like, "Would you please just eat me?" You're like slathering barbecue sauce on. But they can research and try and figure it out, or maybe the Tarasque only eats once every 100 years, and its time's not up. Like you could definitely work that into the adventure.
Those comments about me parenting fast and speed dad.
I was gonna make all kinds of inappropriate comments, but I won't today.
I just wanted to get the crying kid out of mic shot.
Doug says you never kill your players. Definitely, there's government agencies that frown upon that.
Yes, killing the players is bad.
Yeah.
The characters are fair game.
Totally legit. There's no laws against that.
We've crossed the 300 mark on Discord.
Woo! All right,
wow.
We will rule all the Discords. Penrod 45. So glad these guys are doing this before my D&D game. Although, I don't know if you asked any questions. We're about to end.
Slat says, if being eaten is the way in, I don't want to know where the portal out is.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I can get behind that. The Haitian. How do you deal with a PC that won't help the party in combat? You don't. It just happens. Like whatever. Like maybe the player, if there's rewards, the players may decide not to share it because they didn't share in the problem. If they're there, they still might be a target. So I would just deal with it in a way that makes sense for what's going on. It's not your job to manage your players at that level. That's between them to figure out. Now, if they're disruptive and causing problems in the in and outside the game, that's a different conversation. But if it's like, oh, my character doesn't fight, then okay, your character doesn't fight. You might have to adjust how you build encounters, or maybe you won't. And your players will have to figure that part out. Doug says, definitely don't kidnap your players either. I don't know. For a fun game of D&D, it might be all right. Once in a while, a white panel van and some duct tape. Use someone else's credit card to rent it. Oh wait, that's a different crime. Never mind. Nerdarchy does not support nor condone committing crimes of the state or local or federal levels.
Come on, that should have been
intergalactic. Maybe
that should have been Nate's line.
He was channeling me.
Yeah.
Matt Graham, yo dudes, I'm running a 3.5 campaign with a druid who wants a T-Rex hatchling as a companion, and I love it. The problem is we don't know what level it should be considered full grown. Advice. Well, if you treat the T-Rex like a magic item or a mount, there's going to be kind of like a level where you kind of want to keep it at to kind of make it not be ridiculously powerful.
Well, maybe they want ridiculously powerful and they want to know how quickly it should grow.
Well, it just kind of makes me think like, well, what if you had a dragon as a companion or something like
that? Would be ridiculous.
Where would that be?
So
level wise,
I'll correlate this to a story that I had heard, and somebody wanted to be like, oh, I want a bear as my animal companion for my ranger, but the bear is not of a suitable CR for animal companions. So we said, well, what if you take a wolf set of stats and say that's your bear? It's all viable, and it's a bear cub. Totally doable. So you do the same thing with the T-Rex. Whatever you're allowed to have, pick another stat set, and as you've got the ability to grow, if your companion can grow, so does it. But you're not going to ever get to the point where you're actually using the full stat set of a T-Rex.
Yeah, because I mean, T-Rex authorities aren't going to come in and be like, "Hey, you're damaging the T-Rex brand by having this weak creature be the T-Rex villain," So don't worry about that way. But I would just say, just don't, unless you want super overpowerful, ridiculous, don't oversell it, I guess, with power.
So Kyle Ellis says he still wants Dungeon Dad to come on the chat. The first. Done.
There you go.
Yeah, we got a bunch of cool people coming on. And if there's other people you want and they're like, one, reach out to them and say, Nerdarchy's always looking for live chat guests. And two, give us a heads up and we will try and reach out to them. But if they're like a super big name, you better get you and your friends to reach out to them. That would be a better way of going about it. Also, we had Richard Knack on yesterday, and that was badass. I really enjoyed talking with him. And also, some of the guys are giving him a hand for working on doing an RPG campaign setting based off of Rex Draconis. And Rex Draconis is basically his nod to Dragonlance, because so many people want him to continue writing in Dragonlance, because he did the Legend of Huma, Kaz the Minotaur Wars, and some other things as well. So he's like, well, let me kind of channel my inner Dragonlance and do my own thing, and then reached out to these guys to make a campaign setting out of it. But what they're going to do is a series of adventures first, and then they're going to do the campaign setting.
Are they going to kick it, or are they just going to release it?
No, it's going to be a Kickstarter.
Well, we are several minutes past the 3 o'clock marker.
I was looking at one of the things. Yes, we are past the time. We got things to do. I gotta write material for a game, maybe. Think of some things. I just, someone said they were glad they caught us before their game today, and it almost made me feel like they were going to ask something for their game, and I didn't see anything. So hopefully, maybe it was answered in one of the other questions,
or maybe he just was hoping, it was glad that it didn't overlap, so we got to do both.
Yeah, possibly could be that as well. But Richard Perkins, do another hour. I'm getting a rumbly in my tumbly. Actually, I want to eat is what I want to do. And then we have some more videos to do.
Videos. Dave's got to write material. Another game. Yeah, fun.
Good stuff.
So I'm playing a game tonight, and one of the questions was from one of my players, and then another player chimed in about one of them's worried that their DM knows a little bit too much about dismembering humanoids and preserving their body parts. And then I thought, this is one of my players. Are they asking about me? And then, and then the other one's like, all right, I'm going to go chop off an ogre's head and put it in pickling preserve later in the night. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's my game. So tonight I'm playing.
It's like, I only know the average amount of dismembering of humanoids as far as I know.
I don't know a creepy, zero color amount. Come on now. But this guy's always messing with me in the chat. So I'm excited about the game tonight. I'm playing Hold the Mordanes. I'm currently editing the stuff now and going to probably drop that, I guess, next week. We'll see how much editing I get through. So that'll, it's delayed a couple weeks, similar to how our other stuff is. But I'm really
yeah, our other stuff is really delayed.
Well, gameplays.
There was supposed to be a gameplay. We were told last week was going to go up today.
Oh yeah, no, there was that. So there was a couple things that happened. One is I misplaced one of the episodes and I found it. I'm like, I'm putting these up in the wrong order. This doesn't make sense. So that set things back a week, and then this week I just got slammed with having to get blood work done and go to the doctors and meet with Jeff Mack. He runs a bunch of events up in North Jersey. So this week just turned out to not be a good week for getting that done. Fun. And then we've also started watching Critical Role. So that takes a huge chunk of my life as well.
And you can't do Critical Role and something else at the same time.
Yeah.
So, well, at least not, editing.
Video editing and watching somebody else's video doesn't work really well.
So, we'll get on track. Eventually it will happen. And I feel like we're settling into 2018. We got some big things planned. We're going to be appearing at Concoction in Cleveland in the, I believe the beginning-ish of March. It's something like the 9th
or 11th or something along those lines.
Yeah, if you Concoction Cleveland, Google it, you'll see that there. We're running 2 panels over there. We're each going to be running a game over there. I believe Megan's going to come out, at Megan R. Miller, the novelist, and also not sometime, but also the writer for Nerdarchy.com. We've got Chief and Nerdator Doug will be in the house as well.
And that'd be great to actually, get to actually physically meet them.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to
guess.
it.
For me,
it's all right.
Yeah, you met them.
Oh, that thing I already did? Oh,
I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Ted. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So There you go. There's a tidbit of what's going on. As always, the links to everything is down below. Kickstarters and all the other jazz. Go check it out. Until next time.
Stay nerdy.